Meeting to order. Appreciate everybody coming out. This should be a fairly short meeting, hopefully. Just a quick recap. We had two previous meetings, had a number of different people. I think probably the best thing for me to do is we have come up with a report, and I'm going to go ahead and I think Brian has extra copies of the report if anybody wants to get it, but I'm going to go ahead and just kind of read through this thing and then come up with a summary. But I think most of y'all were at the first couple of meetings, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to recap real fast who was here, and then I'm not going to get into all the written testimony and things like that, and then we'll go to the recommendations. So let's just go ahead and start. House Study Committee on Short-Term Rental Providers met 3 times. This will be the third time. First meeting was held on Tuesday, September the 22nd, 2015. The committee members were given the opportunity to express their interest in the subject as well as what they hope to accomplish while being a part of the committee. And here's who we heard testimony from. We heard from Airbnb. We heard from HomeAway, from the Georgia Hotel and Lodging Association, and we also heard from the City of Savannah and the ordinances that they had put in place. And then we heard public comment from 3 different people, including Jim Renner from St. Simon's, Holly McGahee from the Georgia Innkeepers, and John Barber from the Georgia Association of Realtors. Second meeting was October the 6th, and we heard from Lynn Riley, the commissioner, and also from Amy Wanacre, from the Assistant Director of Tax Policy from the Georgia Department of Revenue, John Sires, from the Director of the Consumer Protection Unit of the Georgia Department of Law, Catherine Fleming from GMA, Sean Adams from ACCG, Matt Kiesling from the Travel Technology Association, Robert Trim from the Asian American Hotel Owners Association, Hayden Stanley representing the Georgia Apartment Association, and Lanier Coulter from the Georgia chapter of the Community Associations Institute. Public comment, we heard from an Airbnb host, a couple of Airbnb, well, actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Airbnb hosts. And then we also took written testimony from Ben Edwards, who is the president of Vacation Rental Managers Association, and Kirsten Simmons, who is also an Airbnb host. The rest of it is pretty much of a recap of everything that is going on. So let's get to the committee recommendations, because I know that's why you guys are here. After comprehensive review of the short-term rental market in Georgia, the committee understands the complexities that it entails. The fact that many of these properties are someone's primary or secondary residence and not a business asset is not lost. However, homeowners who frequently utilize their primary or secondary residence as a reliable source of income is in essence utilizing that property as a business asset. It is with that in mind that the committee has proposed the following recommendations for all short-term rentals that are rented for more than 15 days per calendar year. So that's basically how we're defining a short-term rental, as anything that's rented more than 15 days. Now, at this point, before I give the recommendations, I'm going to go ahead and stop and just tell you that that's what these are, is recommendations. This is a study committee. This is not legislation. This is not like we're going to vote on this and then the House is going to take it up. So all this is nothing more than a fairly comprehensive study that we did, and recommendations that are available for anyone who wants to sponsor legislation. I'm not saying that legislation will be sponsored. I'd also like to thank Brian for all his hard work in putting this together, and to Tom and Jan, who's not here, and Matt, who is on his way, and to Spencer for showing up for all the meetings and taking an interest. They've done a great job in examining the thing and the questions. So I was hoping that Matt might be here, but let's just go ahead and get started with the recommendations. Okay, number 1. The committee understands the diversity present in Georgia cities and counties and recommends that regulations regarding the operation of short-term rentals be made at the local level. So we would like to see majority of the regulations be done on the local aspect rather than the state aspect. The committee would like to urge ACCG and GMA. Do you guys have copies of this? Mm-hmm. Okay. To draft recommended statewide safety and insurance minimums regarding short-term rentals. It's a way to address the safety concerns that some people had. The committee views homeowners association, property owners association, and condo owners association as a hyper-local government and wants to continue to allow those organizations to govern short-term rentals through covenants. So in other words, anything that's done, from our opinion, needs to be done from the aspect that property rights are protected for the different associations if they have covenants in place. The committee recommends that the $5 hotel motel fee be extended to include short-term rentals. The committee would like to urge the Department of Revenue, the key word there being urged, the Department of Revenue, as well as all local revenue offices, to enter into a memorandum of understanding with any short-term rental-related business that processes payments to collect and remit the applicable taxes on the property owner's behalf. So basically, Airbnb has said that they're very familiar with this from North Carolina. Brian, in his research and in us looking around and asking questions, found that this seems to be the guidelines that a lot of states are going to, is the fact of entering into a memorandum of understanding so that if they have the capability of doing that they would enter into that with the Department of Revenue. And Airbnb seemed to be fine with that too. So that's a good thing. Although the committee understands the challenges facing the Department of Revenue, at this time the committee does not believe a legislative change that would allow the Commissioner of the Department of Revenue to mandate that all applicable taxes be paid by the company listing the property for rent is necessary. The committee would like for its recommendations to have time to be implemented and evaluated before any legislative changes are made. That is, if they are to be implemented and legislated. The committee would like to urge all short-term rental posting companies to incorporate an acknowledgement of tax liability when a property owner signs up to post their property. The committee recognizes that it is impossible to collect 100% of all state and local taxes due, but would like to urge the Department of Revenue to continue to provide training regarding state taxes due on short-term rentals in communities with a high number of short-term rental properties. In addition, the committee urges all local entities to be aware of the short-term rental market in their area and to ensure that all local taxes due are collected. No mandates whatsoever, some guidelines, some recommendation. The only very, very strong recommendation is that the two things. One, defining of the short-term rentals as being more than 15 days in a calendar year. And the second thing is the $5 fee. So, gentlemen, questions, comments? Anybody have anything from the audience? Is that I want to talk? No. Okay. All right. At this time, I will entertain a motion that the committee adopt the report. Chairman Taylor has moved. Second by Representative Fry. All in favor? Aye. It is unanimously done. So, good. I know there's been a lot of interest in this, and hopefully there's some good guidelines here, and we will get I think Brian has extra copies for anybody that doesn't have one, but we will get this filed with the clerk, and then during the legislative session we will see what happens. At this time, I'll just go ahead and adjourn the meeting. Thank y'all.